I've always had this philosophy about fighting. I think that no matter what color you are, what country you come from, or what language you speak, we're all human beings and fighting's in our DNA. We get it and we like it.
Hey, this is Sam Ewen with CoinDesk. Very excited to be sitting here in Las Vegas. Dana White, Senny Liu. We're going to get into it all about Power Slap, UFC, VeChain, and we're here. This is International Fight Week.
Yeah.
Dana, just tell us what does that mean? What can people expect who come, both for the fighters and for the fans?
Yeah. So International Fight Week is everything in Las Vegas this week is based around fighting. We have the expo for fans. Every night there's something different going on at different casinos, whether it's pool parties or signings or meet and greets. And we've been doing this for probably 10 years, and it is everything fighting this week for UFC fans. And obviously, our portfolio has grown since then. Now we're involved in Power Slap, we're involved in boxing, UFC, and we literally just launched UFC BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm just really excited about the idea of we at CoinDesk, we're a niche media company. We get 5-10 million people a month that come to us. And then I look at the numbers you guys do, right? And I'm just like, when you look at UFC and Power Slap and just some of the stuff you guys are working on, it's the media model has been completely changed. And I'm just interested how you thought of early on the idea of utilizing the media that you can control, you can own from a messaging perspective. And how did that build the brand?
Obviously, when we first bought the company, this thing wasn't allowed on pay-per-view, let alone free television. And our plan was to get on free TV. So one of the things that we've always had to figure out is how to make this business work without the help of anybody. We didn't have sponsors, we didn't have television, and we were basically just on DirecTV when we first bought the company. So the reality show, The Ultimate Fighter, was really what helped launch and help the UFC take off. And then as soon as Twitter came out, I was fascinated by social media. I was one of the first people on there. I started doing video blogs on YouTube before that was really ever a thing. And we've always, anytime new technology came out, we were all over it. I mean, I told Lene, who was my head of PR, I thought the traditional media was dying, and I was a big believer in influencers. So I've been working with influencers for probably the last 5 or 6 years.
And when I think about your role on the advisory board at Meta or even advising Sunny over here at VeChain, how are you thinking about how we get more people involved in that content engine? Is it about sharing who you are, or is it about understanding how we can build a brand through thousands of small fans who then want to play the game with us?
A Power Slap is a perfect example. I saw this on social media. It was coming out of Poland and Russia at the time. And what fascinated me was, I'm jaded. I've been in the fight business since I was 19 years old. So when I started to watch these videos, I wanted to stick around and see who won. I said, if I'm into this, I think that if I did this the right way and presented this, like we did the UFC, I think this thing could be big and I think it would work. So I called my original partners, the Fertitta brothers, and said, I'm into this. I think I'm going to do it. And they said, how much money do you need? And here we are today. And then, like I said, I've always tried to figure out, you said it yourself, the traditional media is dying. Cable television, satellite, all going away. Everything's streaming. Everything is social media. And that was the game plan with Power Slap, was to figure out how to get this to as many people as possible. I don't want to deal with television executives and sponsors and all these other things. We create our own destiny. So we ended up partnering up with Sunny and VeChain to do the deal on YouTube.
Mm. Yeah. And also, I remember, Dana, you were saying you were one of the early adopters to see through, be a visionary to see, the potential of the streaming, even in the early days of the internet, when the technology was not that ready yet, right? With lagging, with poor image.
Right.
But you see through that kind of opportunity, saying okay, this is something we got to do. And that's actually inspired me as well. You got to be the visionary to see the potential of the technology. Even the technology was not ready yet, but when you see the potential, you just go all in into that, and eventually you are ahead of everybody else. That's actually I respect and admire Dana for making this kind of the decision, even 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, leading up to the when we did the ESPN deal, we were negotiating with DirecTV and in-demand pay-per-view and all these guys, and ESPN Plus was launching their streaming service, and made the decision we're gonna go with streaming, which was a very risky move at the time. We're always right there. Whenever new technology comes out, we're either the first or one of the first to try it.
Well, it feels like your career, both your careers, are really defined by taking risks, but very calculated risks of understanding what was drawing your attention and there. How do I bring that to the world? I think a lot about the idea of fandoms and sort of tribalism and that we all want to belong to something. And it seems that you've been able early on to tap into those communities that people wanted to be a part of, even if they didn't know that they wanted to. What was an insight that got you into that mindset?
Well, I've always had this philosophy about fighting. I think that no matter what color you are, what country you come from, or what language you speak, we're all human beings, and fighting's in our DNA. We get it and we like it. And I think that if half the battle is knowing it's on and knowing where to find it. And social media, what I love about social media when it first started was you could cut out the middleman being the media, and go directly to the fans. And the beautiful thing about it is people opt in to follow you because they want to know what's going on. Social media completely changed the entire game for us.
And Sonny, crypto is fought in the trenches of social media.
Yeah.
Right? So we see this every day in the industry that we're in. What lessons do you take along with that to sort of empower your fans to be as fanatical as they might be about PowerSlap?
I think it's a power of two things. One, in crypto world, we talk about the decentralization, right? I think the power of decentralization really makes sense. And also, even when we think about the PowerSlap, Dana taught me that. Actually, the first time I met you, it was in internal PowerSlap pilot show in Vegas here.
Right.
Actually, it was 3-4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And also, Dana taught me about the PowerSlap. I remember one thing is accessible. The PowerSlap make it like super accessible to anyone in the world. It doesn't matter. Actually, one of my friends, Ellie, is going to play on Friday. Oh, really? For the PowerSlap. So you never thought about that, right? But with proper training, the preparation, and it's super accessible to anybody. So I find out this is a fascinating part. Like you can find the commons bar, think about a crypto, think about PowerSlap. That's why we are working together.
And so let's talk about the launch of PowerSlap. You watch a few videos of this, and then suddenly you're down a rabbit hole because there's so many out there. They're getting tens, if not hundreds of millions of views. The angles, the slow motion, it's a fun thing to watch. So was it seeing that vision that allowed you to say we should be in this business?
Yeah. So what happened was when I first saw it, like you said, I went down the rabbit hole and started, watching this, and on YouTube. First of all, the production value was horrible. They looked like they're in a barn slapping over a barrel, and it looked like it was filmed on a flip phone. And the thing had hundreds of millions of views, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy!" And at the time that I saw this, it was like the equivalent of a Bieber video. That's how many views these guys were doing.
Go viral.
And I was like, "Wow, imagine if I did this the right way and actually got it sanctioned." As a real sport and did real production value and created a really good live event, I think this could be big.
And Sonny, you and I were talking last night. I think I asked Sonny why he hasn't sponsored things like F1 and some of the really large sports properties, and you guys are one of the biggest already collectively. But I think your answer was really important, which was I really want to focus on who the audience is and knowing that audience aligns with us.
Yeah.
So tell us about why you wanted to get in this partnership deal with Dana.
I respect this guy. I would call it, I admire this guy, right? Dana has been doing incredible things, making the UFC from just $2 million to be today's 13, 14 billion valuation of platform. And I really like Dana's spirit, like just go get it. It doesn't matter, what is the challenge ahead, what is difficulties, just go get it. And it's what I'm actually trying to do in the crypto world. For actually this year is my 10 years anniversary in crypto world, and I feel like so pumped up, with all of the developments. But if you look back about all of the challenges we have been facing, we do need that kind of spirit. And also, I told Dana, like, you can help me. I'm an engineer. I'm focused on the product. I'm focused on the technology. But in terms of marketing, you're a freaking genius. So we need your help to help us to outreach more people. But if we look at the numbers, the growth, the influences, and also not only the platform influential power, but also Dana's influential power, that's the best option of the world.
I think there's some interesting parallels that, Dana, I want to get your thoughts on. You took this property, $2 million, you turned into $1 billion or tens of billions of dollars plus industry. You had to deal with a lot of fighting through creating regulation around this, actually legitimize this. You did have to do a ton of reputation cleansing to make people accept MMA and UFC and now into Power Slap. Crypto's going through that right now. We're seeing that, from the highest levels of government on down. What are your thoughts on, the idea of needing to sort of work in the trenches to get something to be acceptable, and then how do you set up for success? Once you've done it once, I'm sure you now have the model to make that happen again.
Yeah, that's sort of the fun part for me. I love it. When we built the UFC, at the time, they were bankrupt and going out of business. We went in and bought it, and it's more than just like a startup. It was something that had a bad stigma attached to it. Like venues didn't even want us. Think about this. As a grown adult, you didn't have the option to buy the UFC on pay-per-view, right? It wasn't allowed on pay-per-view. Porn is on pay-per-view. UFC was not allowed. That was the uphill battle we had, and our plan was to get it on free television. And yes, once we went through it the first time, I feel like there isn't anything that I couldn't do. So, a lot of people ask me, why would you get involved in Power Slap? And there was a lot of negativity around it. And, you've worked so hard to get the UFC where it is today. But those are sort of the businesses that I like. I like being in the trenches and building things that people think can't be built. And then as far as my relationship with Sonny and VeChain, I'm at a point in my life and in my career where I want to work with people that I like and people that I'm aligned with and I want to do business with. And when I met Sonny, I felt the same way about him. I liked him, and it's an authentic relationship. I actually bought almost $1 million worth of VeChain. I own almost $1 million worth of VeChain right now. So I'm in every way that you could possibly be in with Sonny and VeChain.
So Sonny, let's look at that approach. Crypto, when you started, was a back alley technology. People did not want to talk about it. They thought it was all just criminals and scammers. Now you can put it in your retirement account. It's being talked about on governmental levels.
Right.
Do you see that same arc of we now get to sort of reap the work we put in to get where we are now?
Yeah, well, definitely. Back to like early days, 2013, 14, when you talk about a crypto, people don't want to even talk about it, right? People only grasping the bad events. We talk about the FTX, we talk about Luna crash, many events happening, and sure, bad news spreading faster, people adopting that. But more importantly, I think we all need to do is to continue to build for the utility, for the value. Like how are you going to use this technology, use the crypto to do good things, to motivate people to do better actions, make a better choice every day. Actually, I was explaining to Dana about what crypto is, how crypto works. Is like many of my friends, also my mentors, he's like, okay, I don't understand that. But
this is the only crypto I own. The only crypto I own is VeChain.
But when I let's say explain to him about the collaboration with VeChain, how we're gonna use the token to incentivize people to do use the recycled materials, doing sustainability things, he gets that. that's what we need in the entire crypto space. We need a utility. We need a value. We need the people, to use the technology for good, right? And then could drive the blockchain or crypto technology to another level, and eventually for mass adoptions. I believe everybody gonna get the benefits by using the crypto, even without knowing that. So those requires constant efforts, and not just only from the players or builders like in the crypto world, but also need people like Dana, like many corporations to join this, getting together. The good thing is the clarity in terms of regulation, starting from this year, is kind of sweeping the way. So the future is pretty bright.
And you spoke about just the normal, let's just get people in. You guys just released BYB, Build Your Body. This is, in essence, the idea of imagining someone, instead of paying for a gym, actually gets paid to work out, right? They get to increase their health while also being rewarded for taking the actions and the commitment.
Yeah.
Right? So is that the example, an example of how you see crypto helping to empower good things, health, like recycling?
Yeah, both ways, actually. Firstly, crypto is used to incentivize people to do good stuff. Actually, the BYB is short for Build Your Body, right? You can do the gym session, you can work out any place you want. Don't find an excuse, just do it. That's a quote from Dana, actually. And the BYB is giving people's motivation to work out, and also with collaboration with the UFC. Actually, consider as the UFC branded the decentralized application, and also running on the VeChain. I'm very proud about that. And could outreaching hundreds of millions of fans of the UFC and doing the exercise, workout. We even run a sweepstakes with the BYB. Like, okay, join us, compete each other, and run a competition. You may have a chance to win the UFC tickets.
So Dana, this has been quoted many times, but you've said that you only work and partner with killers. What do you see in Sonny and really what he's building that just excites you to be a partner with him?
Yeah, obviously he's a very smart guy, and like you just said a minute ago, he's been in the space for a long time. I like the the way he thinks, and he and I are aligned in a lot of different things, like 4Ocean and many other sustainable things that he's working on in his company, and I bet on people, and I like Sonny and what he's all about and what he's building. So not only am I decided to, do business with him, with both of my companies, but also invest. So the only crypto I own, it's the only crypto I've ever bought. Yeah, I'm all in with VeChain.
All right, just give us wrap up a little bit. How do you see Power Slab going now, knowing your experience with UFC, where you brought it? This is something you're really starting to incubate, bringing big. We've been seeing the numbers. Numbers are great. Where do you predict this to be in a few years?
Yeah, so the numbers absolutely destroy everything on social media. Now it's about getting the live event around and people to experience the live event. We've been to Saudi Arabia, we've been to Abu Dhabi, and now for the first time in the United States, we're leaving Las Vegas and we're going to New Orleans. So it'll be a Friday Power Slap in New Orleans and then Saturday UFC. I say this all the time. I sell holy shit moments for a living. That's what I do. And then once you get to experience the live event, it is a very fun live event. And that's how you grow the sport. Just like we did with the UFC. We wanted to take it everywhere. And the UFC is one of those live events. I don't care what you've seen, from the Super Bowl to, the World Series, whatever it is, the UFC is the most exciting live sporting event you will ever see. And when we go into a town or city and, you sell 20,000 tickets, it creates this bomb, and people never walk out of a UFC live event and go, yeah, I don't ever want to see one of these again. And that's what we're going to do with Power Slap now. We're going to travel it all over the country and all over the world and just grow it day by day.
Just quickly on that, I feel like we're moving away from kind of nation states into network states, right? The Power Slap community is vast and global. How does it track when you're in Saudi Arabia compared to what it tracks in Miami?
Yeah, so we, when we do the live events here, this one is sold out. You can't get a ticket to Power Slap this weekend. And you come in and you experience it, and it just creates this buzz. And, when we went to Saudi Arabia, you never know, because in Vegas, it's just a different vibe. There's drinking and everything. You know, there's no drinking in Abu Dhabi. So what really was the test for us when we go to these different parts of the world and you get the same energy and the same experience from the crowd, it's when you know you got something good.
I love that. All right, one last question. Dana, 2010, you sent a tweet, which I thought was great, in context of where we're at now, right? You were saying, I think you just met with EA Sports. You said, oh, EA Sports is a joke. It told me when I talked to them that MMA is not a real sport, and they would never make an MMA video game, right? 4 years later, they made an MMA video game, and now we've made many since. So who's going to make the Power Slap video game, and how big is Power Slap going to be as a sport?
Well, we actually do have a Power Slap video game on mobile, and it does very well. That's a good question. We are talking to EA and other people about a Power Slap video game. It absolutely, positively will happen.
Amazing. And MMA is, some reports, the number 3 most popular sport in the world. Power Slap's going to be up there?
Yeah, I honestly think, and I've said this many times, it could be bigger than the UFC because, you don't have to train for 10 years in a bunch of different disciplines to be able to do it. Yeah, and it's funny because when you look at UFC, it's these guys are incredible athletes. They just had the Fanatics Fest was just in New York this weekend, and they did this thing where all the best athletes in the world came in and competed in all these different sports. Tom Brady came in first place, and Justin Gaethje came in second place, one of our fighters. Yeah. So you need a specific set of skills to do the UFC. Then we were talking about, when you look at Power Slap, if you played college football and you didn't make it to the pros, you could get into Power Slap. And there's obviously real money involved in this now, in the sport. And then we just launched UFC BJJ, and I was talking about, these different actors and celebrities who are actually really good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I said Tom Hardy is really good. Mario Lopez is a really good Jiu-Jitsu guy. Mark Zuckerberg does Jiu-Jitsu. These type of people could come and compete and win a world title in UFC BJJ. And Tom Hardy reached out to me today and said, I just read this. This is fascinating. Can I really get involved in this? I said, hell yeah, you can. So, we have something for everybody. Everybody, lots of different types of people can compete in all the things that we're starting to offer.
Amazing. Dana White, Sonny Liu, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.